Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey friends, will you please take a minute with me and just imagine how you'd feel living the life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, friends, it's a very happy life. And so can my friend Dana Maloney. She's my guest star, and she's here today to share her journey to the inspired life she was meant to live. Hey, Dana, I'm super happy to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Would you just take a minute and tell our audience what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Well, 4 years ago, I was living the life in Charlotte, North Carolina, at my favorite city. It's like a mini New York City. We were there for 25 years. I loved it.
Yes.
Thought we would never leave. But because of our first grandchild, we sold everything in Charlotte and bought this 12,000 square foot bed and breakfast, which you visited us recently. And I'm doing everything that I wanted to do in Charlotte in a much bigger, better way.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let's dig in from what you're doing to who you are. And let's let our friends all across the World Wide Web get to know you through the mathematical equation of our happy formula. It's a simple one, Dana, but it's very powerful. Capacity plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with capacity. What are your practices for building your personal capacity? Physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional. In other words, Dana, what do you do on a regular basis to create all the capacity you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty left over to give to others?
Yoga and prayer. Twice a day, I sit down, I put a heater in front of me, depending on the weather, cut off all other noise and interruptions. And I do a yoga practice in the morning with 10 minutes of prayer. And then I do a longer yoga practice in the evening with 10 minutes of meditation. And I do a lot of reading. I spend time alone, journey, walk. I try to journal every day. Those things help keep me grounded. I'm an extrovert. I love people. I get energy from them. It's very exciting, but at the same time, I need my quiet time. I try to read a couple hours every day, just like you. A lot of the same things.
Talk about the difference between in building capacity. What I've been learning is there's earthly energy and there's spiritual energy.
Mm-hmm.
Earthly energy is finite. When you use it, you have to rest and replenish it. Mm-hmm. Financial energy is finite. If I give you $100 for rent, I've got $100 less in my bank account. I've got to replenish it. Mm-hmm. Spiritual energy is infinite. The more I love my children, I don't lose, or my wife, I don't lose love, I gain love. Mm-hmm. So talk about in your life the difference between earthly energy and spiritual energy.
Well, I think that's where we have to take, I have to personally take the time to slow down and notice all the miracles that happen. It takes an awareness, it takes that peace of mind so that I'm not distracted by the earthly things to see them. But we've got a little sign on hanging over our bay that says there will be miracles, and we can tell you about so many. The day we went out to see a Jubilee and the dolphins swam next to us. I mean, there are so many stories. So by slowing down, getting in tune with my spirituality, and it's really easy looking at the bay. So if I take the time to slow down, then I notice the miracles and how everything's just falling into place to this much greater design than I could ever come up with. Yeah, because it's a God sign.
I have a picture of that beautiful miracle sign right on my Facebook posts.
Great.
Before we move to purpose, let's discuss my very favorite capacity building concept. I call it a kaizen state of mind. It's based on a beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. A kaizen state of mind is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than I did today. It's a positive mindset. It's optimistic. It creates this gentle yet powerful, continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So Dana, the question is, how does a kaizen state of mind help you to increase your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Well, the way that I started, so starting, I guess, in September, I started working with this coach who you met, Rick Miller Jr. His company is called Pro 356 Consulting, as in Proverbs 356. Everybody knows that verse. But I just felt like this is my opportunity to, be a really good leader who's helping many people and develop a successful business that people want to come to. And I just felt like I didn't have the leadership skills and the life balance skills. I'd find myself not sleeping, I'd wake up in the middle of the night all in a panic about this or that or the other. So I work with Rick Miller once a week, and he's helping me to be sure that I find the time to keep my balance. And he's a very spiritual person too. So like you, we open with a prayer, we end with a prayer, or he's always sending me Bible verses or different things of strength that he knows will have a big impact on me. And it's true. I find the miracles, and I can, every now and then I just feel that groove where it's like, oh my gosh, yesterday was just the best day ever. And that could have never happened if I hadn't opened myself up to these different things that can happen through his coaching. Has helped me, along with the wonderful team of people that I found here in Fairhope to help me.
Yeah, and I think that the trick is with Kaizen, first of all, there's always something. So it doesn't matter your age. And I think you mentioned, did you just turn, I think I'm 60, you just turned 60 as well?
Yep, yeah. November 15th, 1961. This
awesome.
is it.
Awesome.
Gotta do it.
And, a lot of people start slowing down, but it's, to me, and I can see it's the same with you, and I read about it in some of our research and discussions back and forth, that this is a time for you to really take another step and to use your life to lead others, not to slow down and kick up your heels, but to make more impact. And I think that's a beautiful way to think about things. And that's how Kaizen works. And, Rick can teach you one little thing, and that brings you up a level. And so you're starting the next day from that higher level. And it can work the other way too. You could decide, I'm just going to retire and start slowing down, and you can Kaizen your way right down, to a horrible life. One incremental drain after another instead of improvement, right?
Yeah, it's all about improving. The more we give, the more we can help others.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's dive into the second element of the formula. I've observed that major life transformation and discovery of purpose often come from devastation. Addictions, disease, death, disaster, some big crisis strips a life right to its core, and transformation bubbles out of it. However, in my second book, Turning Inspiration into Action, which you have a copy of.
I do, right there.
I share the transformational process that I've used to discover my purpose using inspiration. So how about you, Dana? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
There were so many. I think, I'm a nurturing person. I always wanted to be a mother. Every job I had, I found myself being the nurturer, the mother, the remembering the birthdays. And I just couldn't not do that. But in the meantime, I would have all these different jobs, my husband, Navy forever and Microsoft forever. And here I'm this person that's doing something totally different every 5 years, because I just wasn't quite satisfied. The intentions didn't sing to my heart. I realized it's not really money, that paycheck's not it. There's got to be this other side. I was always looking for that, and wanting to make people feel welcome and reach out to people and connect with people. And I just couldn't be satisfied with any job that put other things before that. I just didn't understand. So I pretty much say it was a series of it looked like failures and and disappointments on my part, or these different stories I have, that a whole series of disasters, mistakes.
So let's let's go into this just a little bit more. So you talked about changing things every 5 years or so and giving back, and ultimately getting into the vacation rental market in Charlotte. And I just wonder, if you look at your life where it is now, in this big, beautiful boutique hotel that is allowing you to have 7 vacation rentals all together in one place with your 7 suites, your own home that you live in. And what did all of the different 5-year components, did many of them come together in one place at Jubilee Suites?
Oh, yes. I had so many lessons that helped me to do this. And it's much more complex than I had ever imagined. But every step of the way, there was like another piece that gave me the foresight to figure out how to do that. My husband 5 years ago or 10 years ago, even at so many things I'm doing, he said, that's impossible. You always hear that from especially family members. Can't do it. Stop. You're crazy. So, somehow all those mistakes and the journey of accidents and mishaps along the way. Yeah, I kept on refocusing on my family and refocusing on what made my heart happy. And that's how I got here.
And then ultimately it was granddaughter Beatrice.
Oh, yes.
That says, Grandma, you are going to be in Fairhope.
I was
And
so
you couldn't
happy.
have planned it in a million years. You could never have planned that out.
No. So, the view we have here is similar to Carmel, California. We're overlooking the water from a high vantage point. I always thought I'd have a bed and breakfast in the mountains of North Carolina for my dream. But our first grandchild, Beatrice Louise Maloney, 4 years ago, I was not going to drive through Atlanta to come down here all the time to see my grandchildren as much as I wanted to. It's wonderful. Now we have 2 grandchildren, 2 granddaughters nearby, and my small Airbnb in Charlotte, which is 1/10 of what this is. Look at this. I've got this, it's on steroids compared to what I was trying to create in Charlotte. And I was anyway, this is so much easier and so much better. And I never would have imagined it. Yeah.
And I think that's what, that's the message I want to get out to the people that are listening is you really can't plan it all. If you keep walking towards towards your heart, ultimately the universe, God, however you want to describe it, is going to put this thing in front of you. And you just gave me another little clue to the reason that you're down there. And that is, traffic is so horrible in Atlanta. If you had like an easy way to get down there, you might not have this decision.
And this is a wonderful place. We're in this 5-star town, 5-star restaurants, 5-star library, all these intellectual giants and writers and artists and musicians, and I don't have any traffic.
It's true, folks. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't been there, but you got to look it up. Fairhope, Alabama. I drove in one night. Dana invited me down to stay at their place. And as soon as I drove into that city, it was like, I was like driving into a fairy tale. And it just happened hour after hour, day after day. I ended up extending my stay from 1 night to 3. And it is a magical place. So we're going to talk more about it later. But keep an eye out for Fairhope, Alabama.
Yes, it's an up and coming place. It's a little secret. I don't know if it'll ever be a big deal all over the country, but it's a big deal to those of us that know about it.
That's right. All right, good stuff, Dana. Let's take a commercial break because I want to tell everyone about 3 things. A super cool company called Dry Farm Wines, how they deliver chemical-free, sugar-free, health-certified wines right to your door, and how every purchase made for the entire month will go to support a great big donation to our wonderful host, WYTV7. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Dry Farm Wines. I first met the man known as the healthiest wino on the planet back in 2016. He said his wines don't cause headaches or hangovers, and that he started his company because most wine consumed in the US is highly processed and loaded with unnatural nasties. Like most processed food, it's toxic. That very night, I made a big health decision. Toxic wines out, natural wines in. It's been 4 years since I made the switch, and I feel great. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get your first bottle of natural wine for a penny. And I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November to WYTV7. Share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant Show. And I'm Matt Gersper. Hey, friends, do yourself a great big health favor. If you drink wine like I do, make sure it's super clean and free of toxic and chemical nasties. Dry farm wines are so natural and deliciously clean, they do not cause headaches or hangovers. I love my dry farm wines, and I know you'll love yours too. But for now, let's get back to my special guest star, Dana Maloney. Hey, Dana, I love this article called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. I found it on lifescience.com, and it says the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on this planet. It says there's compelling scientific data to support the notion that giving of one's time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering purpose, transcending difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I've updated the formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. What do you think, Dana? From your life experience, have you found that giving your time and talents and treasures has been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties in your life and for bringing real meaning into your life?
I think so. You know, the greatest example I have is my father. He was one of 9 children born in 11 years on a farm that was barely struggling in Missouri. My mom and dad are, distantly related. And my parents got married at the age of 16. They spent their first 15 years of marriage in a trailer. It was 10 by 50. And I was 7 when we got our first house. I mean, my dad, he was a Marine. He went to school on the GI Bill, and then he was in the Air Force. And it was a rough life. But my father donated my mother's IRA to this Miller County Historical Society in mid-Missouri in 1996. And I'll never forget it. It was a big deal in the family. It was like, oh, you're donating mom's whole IRA? And he's, he stood up with all these reasons and why it was the right thing to do. And now that IRA has grown into this huge amount, because of all the years and time, and it was invested well. And we are so proud of it. But not only did my father take that really brave, he was a young man and he didn't know what was ahead, but he was brave and he did it. And I feel like that giving and continuing to give, he spent the last decades of his life volunteering in all these different ways to serve the community, the fire department, the schools, the church, the museums, and I find that there really is that formula. The more we give, the more we get, and then we can just keep on giving. And I find it. I think that the giver receives more than the getter.
Yeah, if you read that article, folks, it's amazing. There's an incredible story in there about this model and her husband, or soon-to-be husband. They didn't get married, and I won't give the story away. But she says that exact same thing, that, if you don't give, you're really missing out, because the giver really gets so much more back. And so in a way that sounds even kind of selfish, and it's not selfish. It's multiplying. They one receiving is getting a gift, and the one that's giving is getting a gift as well. And so science supports it. And I agree 100%. I love the wonderful feeling. It comes from that fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value for others. And I know from my own life experience that the magic of life comes not from getting more, and that's fun, but it's from giving more, and that's way more meaningful. But there's more to it than that. It's not just the giving that's magical. Dana, what I've been exploring and learning is that it's when you're giving from living in your purpose. That's where you find the real magic. So tell us, Dana, how does it make you feel when you're giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, right down there at the Jubilee Suites, and a hotel guest says, Dana and Jim's place at Jubilee Suites was amazing. And another says, no stone was left unturned. Another, I highly recommend Jubilee Suites and its special touches and kind hosts. Another, Jubilee Suites delivered perfection in every way. The suites, the property, and the hospitality of the owners was remarkable. And finally, so you don't get a really big head, and very simply, one guest writes, Jubilee is an absolute gem. Dana, how does all that make you feel?
Incredibly wonderful. But I mean, it's miracle after miracle. This would have never happened. I just think that the original name of this bay that's in front of our house was the Bay of the Holy Spirit. Apparently they changed it a long time ago because they said it in Spanish, and once other people took over that, they don't want it to be in Spanish. But I do think that this is a magical place. It's been settled by people for thousands of years. There's abundant food, seafood from the bay. I'm in a magical place, and I'm just part of the bigger picture. The original name of this place was Utopia. They changed it to Fairhope because they didn't want to sound like they were bragging. But, Bay of the Holy Spirit, I think that's a good name for this. And you understand what Jubilee is and the forgiveness with Jubilee in the Bible. It's all connected.
Yeah, and the thing though, that's great. You found this magical place, but what are you doing with it? You're giving to others with it. You're not keeping it to yourself.
Right.
And that's what this is about. It's what is that giving? You bring guests in and they say the house is wonderful. Why does that make you feel so great? But it does.
Well, it's all about the people, making them happy. And it's our employee, our staff, every single person that works with us, our contractors, our regular W-2 employees, they're all making that difference. It's not me. It's not me.
Well, that's it. That's the magic. It's purpose and giving, discovering your purpose and then giving to others makes this great big happy circle. Giving your time and your talents and your treasures, science tells us, is a pathway to discovering purpose, and giving from living in your purpose brings about this profound joy to your life. So giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So to more properly reflect the exponential power of the happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a bit more.
Okay.
Capacity times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you, Dana?
Yes. You have to have all those elements.
Very good. Okay, let's wrap things up with a lightning round. I love reading a few of my very favorite quotes, and then you respond, telling us what it means to you. The first thing that comes to your mind, Dana, because it's called a lightning round.
Okay.
This is from Lao Tzu. Stillness and tranquility set things in order in the universe.
Do you know, I think that's what we can offer here. Stillness and tranquility. I mean, where else can you be in this small, intimate place with this expansive view of the water, completely surrounded by nature, big trees. We see bald eagles, herons, white pelicans, I mean, owls, all these things that are just gifts of magnificence every day. Come here.
And just one more thing about your place, for those of you that are listening. the Jubilee Suites, they've really combined, I love mashups, bringing two different things together. And it's like a hotel where you can have your own private living area. And it's like it's like an Airbnb. It's three things. It's like a hotel, an Airbnb, and a what do they call when you go into a place where the host is always taking care of you? The original
boutique hotel.
The original Airbnbs. Anyways, the suites are fully contained, so you can stay and you can eat and you can sleep and you can do everything by yourself if you want, or you can go mingle in the open air and open space, and it's just beautiful. And so you can have stillness and tranquility, or you can get into the water and do stuff. Okay.
Do a deep conversation.
From Rumi, you are the truth from foot to brow. Now, what else would you like to know?
Wow. So if I'm the truth from foot to brow, that means that I'm perfect as I am, right? Is that what you mean? I think that's what we are, and we should accept it. I spent all my years, wanting to achieve something else or be something else. But now, today, I'm grateful for what I am.
This one's not on my list, but it's from Ayad Shanti, and he says, total acceptance of yourself brings about total transcendence of yourself. And then you got to ask the obvious question, why don't we totally accept ourselves?
It's hard to be different. It's hard to take a different path than the people before you. It's really tough. And those that you love or that love you, they don't want you to be hurt or in danger. So, it's taken me a long time to accept who I am, all my flaws.
Good to be 60.
And want to be, it's taken a long time.
All right, from Denzel Washington. It's not just what you have, but it's what you do with what you have. Who are you lifting up? Who are you making better?
That's really important to me. I feel like the greatest thing I can do at this stage in my life is develop leaders. I've got some people on staff that are fantastic leaders. I want to develop them. I've got people that are doing just what their life purpose is. We recently hired a special needs person. What joy that has brought me. It took me a long time to line it up, but it was totally worth the effort. The special needs person is among us, and she is contributing so much, even though it's in a different capacity than the rest of us. And we are all rewarded for it.
Awesome. All right, two more. This one's from Wayne Dyer. Even if no one sees or acknowledges it, a silent blessing or thought of love towards others contains a vibration that can be felt throughout the cosmos.
I totally believe that. And that's the part of, slowing down and praying every day to send that love out and to recenter myself on that love.
Yeah, very good. This one's from Goth. It's our show anchor. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah. This place was a big risk. A lot of people said it would never work, and it was a lot harder than I ever expected, but it's turned out better than I ever expected to. Soldier on one step at a time. Be open. And, I try to pause and not go too fast because I've gotten burned many, many times, but the path keeps on opening up. I try to slow down a little bit and catch my breath. And so it's been a wonderful, wild ride.
Very good. Okay, folks, now it's your turn to play along with us. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Dana Maloney, please share some love with our incredible broadcast team by giving what you can to WYTV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Dana, I love your infectious spirit and enthusiasm for life, and I admire the courage it took for you and Jim to sell your thriving Airbnb business in Charlotte and put everything into renovating a property in a building that was first created as a convalescent facility for an Army airfield back in 1940. And holy smokes, did the renovation work. Your Jubilee Suites boutique hotel is stunning. And my experience staying there was absolutely amazing. And I'm super happy that you've shared your spirit and life wisdom on our show today. Would you just take a minute or two and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
Thank you. It has been a joy. I am so grateful to be on your show. But anybody that's watching, come here, stay 3 nights. I promise you'll feel the peace and the love. That's my goal for everybody that comes here. There's
not a limit of 3 nights, is there, Dana?
No, not at all. But
At
try to
least
stay
3.
3 so that you can really feel it. It takes a while to step away from the rat race or whatever. We're always going through something. It takes a while to pause.
This is all making sense now. I had no chance. I was staying 3 nights.
I mentioned it in the very beginning, and you had to be, you were open to it.
That's good. Wonderful. Thank you, Dana. And I also want to thank WYTV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Dana and reaching responsive folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors for the month of March, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Remember, I'll donate 8% of every purchase that you make for the entire month to WYTV7. So tell all your friends too. Go to happyliving.com, select partners, and shop Dry Farm Wines. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Dana Maloney. Find her, friend her, visit her website, and book a luxurious, rejuvenating, one-of-a-kind vacation on the beautiful shores of Mobile Bay in magical Fairhope, Alabama. Just go to jubileesuites.com, click book now, and choose from 7 spacious family-sized suites with fully furnished kitchen, dining, living areas, and more. That's all one word, Jubilee Suites, SUITES.com, jubileesuites.com. From me to you, dear friends, I love you, and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy. And speaking of happy, go to happyliving.com right now to take our happy quiz. Because when you measure your happy, you'll focus on it, and focusing attention on it inspires change and learning and improvement to flow right into your life. And speaking of life improvement, I hope Dana has got you motivated and feeling confident and bold and excited to improve your life, ready to bring to life your unique and distinct reason for being on this planet. Because that's where you'll make your mark of significance on the world, and the world needs to hear from you. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant Show.
Thank you.
And we're out. And happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.